Communication is one of those things everyone thinks they're good at until they actually have to do it under pressure. You know, the moment someone asks you to explain what you meant, and suddenly your brain decides to take a long lunch break. We've all been there. You open your mouth, and what comes out is a mix of half-formed thoughts, misplaced confidence, and the faint hope that the other person will magically understand you. It's a wild ride. The funny thing is, communication isn't just talking. It's not even mostly talking. It's this whole dance of timing, tone, clarity, and the ability to not sound like you're trying to decode ancient hieroglyphs. And, well, a lot of us are still learning the steps. Some people communicate like they're delivering a TED Talk. Others communicate like they're sending smoke signals from a distant mountain. And then there are the people who think they're being clear but are actually speaking in riddles. You know the type. One of the biggest parts of communication is listening. Not the kind where you stare at someone's face while mentally planning dinner. I mean real listening. The kind where you actually absorb what the other person is saying instead of waiting for your turn to talk. It sounds simple, but it's basically a superpower. And like most people don't use it nearly enough, when you listen properly, conversations stop feeling like battles and start feeling like collaborations. It's amazing how much smoother life gets when you're not just waiting to respond. Another key part is clarity. People love to complicate things. They add extra words, extra layers, extra everything. But clarity is about stripping things down to the essentials. Say what you mean. Say it simply. Say it without turning it into a puzzle. You know, it's kind of refreshing when someone communicates without making you decode their intentions, like you're solving a mystery novel. Clear communication saves time, energy, and friendships. It also reduces the number of times someone has to say, wait, what? Then there's tone. Tone is sneaky. Tone is the difference between can you help me and can you help me? Same words, completely different vibe. And, well, people underestimate how much tone shapes a message. You can say something perfectly reasonable, but if your tone is off, the whole thing lands like a brick. And suddenly you're in an argument you didn't mean to start. Tone is the seasoning of communication. Too little and things taste bland. Too much and everything burns. Body language is another big one. You know, it's sort of wild how much we communicate without saying anything. A raised eyebrow, crossed arms, a tilted head, a sigh that could power a wind turbine. These things speak louder than words sometimes. And the tricky part is that people read body language differently. What feels normal to you might look like a threat to someone else. So being aware of your physical signals can save you from a lot of misunderstandings. Confidence also plays a huge role. Not the loud, chest-thumping kind. I mean the quiet confidence that comes from knowing what you're trying to say. When you speak with confidence, people listen. When you speak without it, people drift. And like, confidence doesn't mean you know everything. It just means you're comfortable expressing what you do know. It's the difference between I think, maybe, possibly this might be right, and here's what I understand so far. One inspires trust, the other inspires confusion. Humor helps too. Humor is the lubricant of communication. It keeps things moving, it softens tension, it makes people feel comfortable, and it reminds everyone that we're all just humans trying to figure things out. You don't need to be a stand-up comedian. Just a little lightness goes a long way. You know, it's kind of amazing how a simple laugh can turn a difficult conversation into a manageable one. Humor opens doors that seriousness keeps locked. Another important skill is asking good questions. Questions show interest. Questions show engagement. Questions show that you're not just nodding along like a bobblehead. And, well, good questions lead to good answers. They help you understand the other person better. They help you avoid assumptions. And they help you steer conversations in productive directions. Asking questions is like turning on a light in a dark room. Suddenly everything becomes clearer. Then there's the art of pausing. People underestimate the power of a pause. A pause gives your brain time to catch up. A pause gives the other person space to think. A pause prevents you from blurting out something you'll regret. And, like, a well-timed pause can make you sound thoughtful instead of chaotic. Silence isn't the enemy. Silence is a tool. Use it wisely. Empathy is another cornerstone of communication. Empathy is the ability to understand where someone is coming from, even if you don't agree with them. It's the ability to step into their shoes without stealing them. Empathy turns conversations from confrontations into connections. And, well, it makes you a better communicator because it helps you respond to the person, not just the words. When you communicate with empathy, people feel heard, and when people feel heard, they open up. Adaptability matters too. Not everyone communicates the same way. Some people like details. Some people like summaries. Some people like stories. Some people like bullet points. And like being able to adjust your style to match the person you're talking to is a game changer. It's not about changing who you are, it's about meeting people where they are. Communication is a bridge, and adaptability is how you build it. And finally, practice. Communication is a skill, not a talent. You get better by doing it. You get better by messing up. You get better by learning from awkward moments, confusing conversations, and the occasional disaster. And well, the more you practice, the more natural it becomes. Communication isn't about perfection, it's about connection, and every conversation is a chance to improve. So the next time you're talking to someone, try listening a little more. Try being a little clearer. Try paying attention to your tone. Try adding a touch of humor. Try asking better questions. You know, it's kind of surprising how small changes can make a big difference. Communication isn't magic, it's a craft. And once you start treating it like one, everything gets easier.